Andrew here. Do you have a support network? I mean, it's obviously not a secret that I have mental health problems. I mean, that's the reason that this channel exists. And I've talked about this and that and the other thing, my struggles with my depression, my demons. And I got to thinking today about support networks. I have in my neighborhood some people who have similar struggles. And one of my friends is in the midst of a struggle right now. Now, if you've been paying attention the last couple of days, a video or two back, I was very intense, much more emotional than I tend to be in these. And it was because I was excavating and remembering, because this is probably being published on the first anniversary of me crawling out of a pit of despair as deep as any I've ever been in. I plan to publish this Saturday this week, so it was 1 year ago that I stood in my kitchen and I decided I was done. I'm not done, I'm here. But getting out of that was very difficult. One of the things that I did to get out of that was I developed a support network. And developing that support network also helped people who are in that support network. And I was thinking about that today because over the last couple of days, I bumped into two separate people, and one of whom is doing great, one of whom is in a pretty rough patch. And with one, I was joking about, hey, I'm on the green side of the grass and feeling great. And one of them, I took one look and I said, what's wrong and what can I do? And there really wasn't anything I could do. Not in terms of there's something I can do. I mean, she's got her difficulties and she's working on them. But the very fact that somebody could look at her and say, what's wrong and what can I do? That in and of itself helps lift the burden. And today, she said to me when we were waiting for our kids at the bus stop, you'd be proud of me. And she related a story that it's not my story to tell, but the upshot of it was she was having a bit of a crisis. Something could have happened to make it worse. And she said, I could feel it rising and it was going up like this. And I, what did you do? I told her, no, I can't see you. And she just said, she gave herself permission to say no and to not increase her burden. And we've talked about that you have to give yourself permission sometimes. You have to give yourself permission to say no. I first encountered the concept, oddly enough, in The Wealthy Barber Returns, and in which the financial guy says, one of the ways that you save is you give yourself permission to say no. When people say, well, one of the reasons people get into financial troubles is they refuse to, they can't say no. Would you want to come to this party? Do you want to go out for dinner? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do... And they don't say no, and they get themselves stretched too thinly, and they don't save properly. They get into credit card and so on and so forth. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I used to work with a guy who was laid off, was unemployed for a period of time, and he didn't stop saying no to his wife who wanted to go out for sushi dinner or whatever, and they had a crap ton of credit card debt that they had to clear. That's just financial. You can always work. You can work more. I mean, money you can... I'm not trying to brush it off, but financial difficulties are a different beast from emotional difficulties. And sometimes giving yourself permission to refuse, even if it's somebody who's important and in your circle, sometimes the situation requires that you say no. And so my friend was very proud of herself. She helped herself come down out of her problem, and part of that was saying no. And part of her ability to do that is conversations with those such as yours truly, and we talk about things like that permission to remove yourself from a situation, from a toxic situation. Another one in the circle has, in the last summer, ended up removing himself from 2 toxic relationships. And they were so old, they had been so much part of his life for so long, it took him time to figure out that they were toxic, that they were holding him back. As a neutral observer, I was able to say, this doesn't sound healthy. Maybe you need to let this go. And that's it. I mean, you can't make someone's mistakes for him, but you can throw out advice. You can just make an offhand comment. We've sat around the fire laughing, and them telling me, oh, if it wasn't for you, we got so much from you, and all you got from us. It's like, I'm still on the green side of the grass because of them. You need a network. And even beyond that, any toxicity in you, anything that you put out into the world, you don't know how that's affecting other people. Especially when you get wrapped up in your own problems. I know people people have said to me, and this was that year ago when I was in the pit, we knew something was wrong. And if we didn't see you that day, and it was the year ago, we were kicking that door down to make sure you were all right. The toxicity that just oozed out of every pore, the problem, I wasn't hiding it from anybody but myself. It's out there. It goes out there. It affects other people. So you need help. And one of the most powerful things that you can have to help is simply a support network. If you don't have one, you need to develop one. And if you have one, reach out to it today and say, hey, how's things going? Is there anything I can do to help? And say, if I haven't told you recently, thank you. And that's what I say to you. You listen, you drop the occasional comment, give me the occasional like. Thank you.